So, welcome to Cyber Escape. I'm Val. I go by any pronouns. How about you?
I'm Ajohntae. I go by he, him, or they, them.
Work. Okay. So, I heard your music. I love it so much. And I just want to ask for what are your inspirations like when you do music? Like what are you into?
Um, I think I've been listening to a lot of like pop recently. I think when I first started like making music, it was lots of like older like folk stuff. Um, Video game soundtracks were like very big for me. David Bowie, I think, but like less in terms of like actual, I think like musicality and more just in terms of like aesthetic. I think those are like the very big ones. Now I think Childish Gambino, that influence has been circling back around, and really it's I've been pinpointing like where that influence lies just in terms of like building like these like universes, and that's kind of the goal. And just like Lord in terms of really trying to like improve my songwriting and really like craft these very vivid, very big moments out of small things.
Yeah. So, I was in your live. I don't know if you knew it was me, but I was in your recent live. It was the one where you were talking about there's this like person in New York that like you didn't know, you didn't have their contact info. And then they
Yeah,
showed up in the live and you were like, oh my God, I'm gonna leave. I have to call you.
yeah,
I was there. I was in that live and I was commenting stuff. I felt a little stalkery because I was like, they probably don't know it's me, but it's me.
yeah.
But you talked about in your songwriting, there's a character you do. Who
Yeah.
is this character?
So I think that kind of ties back into like the interconnected universe that I'm trying to build. And so the character is there's no name, but he's like the rock star, right? And essentially what's supposed to happen as like I continue to build like visuals and craft visuals with this character is it's this, this egotist that's so concerned with like crafting legacy, and like within like this universe that's being built, you see the legacy. And so it starts out very large and very grand in terms of like what this person is, and the idea is to slowly kind of like zoom in and do a character study on rock star and celebrity and how that affects a person.
That is so cool. Because because I saw like in the comments they were suggesting something about what was it? It's like growing, something about growing, and you were like, yeah, but this character doesn't grow.
Yeah.
So would you
And
say
so
your
yeah,
character is someone who's like stuck and continually spiraling?
yeah, I think that's kind of the very big thing. I think I try to draw from like lots of different media when I'm also crafting like my music. And so a big one of my favorite shows is BoJack Horseman. And like that's a character where like you see like you recognize that growth isn't linear with that character,
Mhm.
and there's lots of up and downs. And I think for the rock star, when you are thrust into this role of celebrity, and you're viewed as like this idol or this god, you can't grow. It's kind of impossible because there is no accountability. There's nothing to hold you
Yeah.
or to force you to reflect.
No, I definitely got Bojack from this character you described. I'm like, oh, that sounds just like him.
Yeah.
So would you say the character is very different from you? Or would it be a little tapped into it, like in one side of you?
I think, we're like I'm constantly we're wearing masks always, right?
Hmm.
I think there's definitely pieces and parts of me within that character. I think you can't write the best music unless there's a part of you in there, right? And so I think that, a lot of the self-destructive tendencies and stuff, and a lot of these very, very intimate moments that I kind of describe in my music are very much me. But I think in terms of the inability to grow, that's the character. Um, and kind of, dramatizing things and stretching the truth a little for the sake of
Yeah.
dramatizing everything.
So I found you through TikTok.
Yeah.
And how is it being a person? I don't know if you call yourself an influencer, but you definitely have a big following. And so, like, how is it
Um, I like the community a lot. I don't like social media though. I like the idea of short form video. I like the idea of reaching out to people and connecting with people. I think like who was I talking to? I forget who I was talking to, but we were going back and forth about what music represents. And I was at the Childish Gambino concert. I like brought up that I was at a Childish Gambino concert. And I think after the first song, he was like, "Put your fucking phones down. This is church," right? And that kind of sticks with you, and that really stuck with me. And it's like, this is church, and the music is the worship. And I think with TikTok, I've kind of recognized that there's a church there, there's a community there, there's like this cult of people there. But I don't like the idol worship. I think
Yeah.
the mask that I wore on TikTok, which is kind of like very much displaying sex appeal and all
Hmm.
of that. I'm not always comfortable with that, and then
Yeah.
I think once it starts, you know, really getting out there, I'm not, I'm not as comfortable with that as most people believe that I might be. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
There's,
it's because like I see your TikToks and I'm like, some of these comments, let me just talk shit a little bit. Some of these comments are out of hand, right?
yeah,
And I'm like, is this person okay? Like that must feel weird, right? To just have all of these people just say these salacious, dirty things to you. Like, I don't know. I can't even
yeah,
finish my sentence. Just the idea of it is crazy.
yeah. I think, but this is where like, I think a lot of those comments are from like younger people, and I
Yeah.
kind of recognized, you know, I think especially like as I get further and further away from those ages, how hormonal you are,
Yeah.
you know, and I think that definitely does help me, kind of ground myself. But yeah, it's nuts. And then like it's like I don't mind flirting and I don't mind interacting in a certain way sometimes, but then especially when ages aren't in bios and like you don't ever wanna engage with you know
Yeah.
yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because it's interesting, really. Um, Especially for people who put on like a flirtatious, like what you do, like you put on like flirtatious kind of thirst trap TikToks. So it's like work, really. But then also the comments get almost like you put a hand out and then they reach for the elbow. It's like a
Yeah,
thing in Spanish or something, but I can't really say it right now. But it's like you put your hand and now they're just trying to fucking grab everything. And it's like there's no boundary, really. Yeah.
I was talking to someone else about that, and I was like, I kind of miss like celebrity back in like the early 2000s or like even like the early 2010s where like the audience wasn't as close and there was still like this veil of like mystique.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like you kind of feel forced to share every detail about you and to like really engage. And it's like I don't mind engaging with the community. Like
Hmm.
I like knowing that I can reach and I can affect people on such a wide scale. But, sometimes it's a little too close.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I saw you did a collab with someone.
Yeah.
How was
And then I
collabing
pulled
with
it.
someone?
And then I pulled it. The comments weren't the best. And like I very much value the person who I collabed with. And so I've been that's another reason why I've been trying to figure out how to have that conversation where it's like, I appreciate you for engaging with my content, but the way that you're engaging with it and when you see me engaging with others, and I guess it kind of like breaks the veil a little bit of like, mystique and sex appeal and availability. You can't attack people for that either.
Yeah.
So I don't
I don't know. I do adore, I do idolize the fact that you have the confidence to put this mask on. Because I say this with every TikToker, because for me personally, I'm like, I do not have the confidence yet to be like, oh, I'm sexy in front of a camera like that. And I'm just like, that is sick. That is really cool to just do that and be like, this is me. I know I'm good looking. Blah, 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 blah. Now you can comment. right? Like that's cool.
It's cool, but like I think like especially when you're posting consistently and you don't always feel good and you don't always feel sexy, it's it kind of pulls you away from it, and it kind of stops you from appreciating the content sometimes. But I think it's definitely when you can enjoy it, you do enjoy it, you know.
Yeah. And so your style, I love your style, by the way. Would you like, how did your style evolve over time?
I don't know. I was like, I want to be cool, and how do cool people dress? And so I started like going on like Reddit, like fashion subreddits, and then I was like, actually, I don't like the way any of these people dress. But I started really thinking about how to engage with the music differently, right? And with that comes like, you know, viewing these artists. And I think especially as you start making music, viewing these artists as peers within within your own community. And like I really like punk. I really like that kind of like
Yeah.
pop punk. That style. I like the ethos behind it, especially just like, you know, using what you have, using what you can. Um, I think thrifting is really cool. So it's really just like I think a product of kind of the internet and kind of just like right place, right time, and just my my influences in music and everything.
Yeah. Will you ever make angry music?
Hmm?
Would you ever make angry music?
I've been making a lot more pop punk. That's like the new stuff that I'm very excited for. So like I don't want to say it's angry, but I think it's definitely a lot more belty, a lot more shouty. Um, it's raw.
Sick. Yeah, it's so cool. And so, um, so like being in New York, right?
Yeah.
There is a huge art influence, right? Like there's so like how is that? How is the art? Like, are you in an art scene in New York? Like, how is that?
I think it's hard. I think really trying to find these communities that do the stuff that you do or the stuff that's adjacent to what you do is very hard.
Mhm.
I think I'm very lucky to have friends that do this cool stuff.
Yeah,
And so when I am around that energy, I very much appreciate it. I do think New York's lacking kind of in the pop stuff and
yeah,
that kind of indie scene, which is unfortunate. I wish there was more of that. But I think in terms of like hip hop and like very much like rock stuff,
yeah.
I like being around that. I think New York is great for that.
Oh yeah. I've never been to New York. So I'm like, it's like a world of wonder. I have no idea what's in there. I just know stereotypes and that's it. The music scene, the punk scene, it's also interesting to me. There's this weird layers, right? Especially in punk, where there's these layers of let's go against the system, but then there's like people who are definitely not against the system, but say they're but are punk and like
And this is where I don't necessarily know if I'm punk, but I do uphold like a lot of very similar values. At I think right now it's also kind of I don't want to say it's trendy. That doesn't feel right,
no, you can say it. You can say it.
but it does feel kind of trendy right now.
It
Um,
does.
And like I get it, the style is sick and all of that. But I think I've especially noticed that a lot more when you see like bigger brands like charging you like fucking $2,000 for like a distressed tank top, and it's like if you're punk, you should be like buying a fucking t-shirt and
Yeah.
dressing it yourself. You know, that's how. Like I don't know, like I have that jacket back there, and I like spent like 2 years working on it and like distressing it and wearing it everywhere and fucking it up. And like to me, it like means so much more than if I had just bought it that way.
No, I agree. I think businesses and corporations are realizing the as like punk is a subculture, right? But they're seeing, and because it's becoming mainstream, they are now in a way using that mainstream and kind of dangling it in people's heads and being like, look how cool it is. And now
Yeah,
it's sort of becoming trendy.
yeah. I think, and like you kind of like saw it with like, you know, like the emergence of like the e-boy and the e-girl. But I think especially as that kind of like fades into the background as we kind of like leave the 2010s and like move into 2020, and you're seeing that very specific, that punk aesthetic, and you're, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of, I guess, the commodification of the idea. I'm
Yeah.
not a big fan of that.
It's because it's kind of like the hero becomes the villain-esque kind of thing, right? Lots of like the punk idea, the punk aesthetic, the punk clothing is based off of these like low income, distressing, doing your own thing because you don't have the money to. And now it's becoming you have to buy it to feel validated.
Yeah.
I do have a okay, wait, this might be the last question, but we can always talk after the interview, obviously. If you had to create a character for yourself, what would it be?
Huh. I don't know, because like I watch a lot of coming of age movies. I feel like it would be very grounded. But I think if I were to like really like stress that and kind of like take that idea to to the extreme, I think it would be like a cigarette and a leather jacket wearing sunglasses. Um, I think, and I think like I imagine the character to be like a meta bad boy boyfriend. I think like within that kind of that coming of age aesthetic, I like the idea of like taking that character that is like, you know, typically like edgy and is there to like, you know, provide some danger and kind of flipping it on its head and painting it and like a very different like kind of
Yeah.
more sympathetic, um and kind of really exposing why the character is the way that it is.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, uh a cigarette and a leather jacket with like a heart of gold.
Love. Okay. So thank you so much for being part of this interview and stuff. We love to have you. We're so excited to hear you play. It's really great.
I'm terrified, but I'm excited.
No, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good.
I don't know. There's always nerves when I'm like performing. I want to put on the best show I can put on. Backseat driving in the